Hey guys, Jen here. Finally here. It's been a long day. A long day of doing nothing, of laying on the couch like a freaking lazy ass. So that's always fun, right? All right, today we are probably doing one of the most important topics of the entire live stream series. So listen in and listen in, because this is going to be the thing that make or breaks everything for you. And that is overcoming the fear of being visible. And as writers, it's a huge, huge thing to overcome because we're introverts. We prefer to be behind the scenes. We like being behind our computer screens where no one has to see us. You know, we're typing away, writing our books, our blog posts, and no one's seeing us. And it's awesome. The problem is when you want to actually sell books and you want to get yourself out there as an author, you have to be visible and you have to be seen. Otherwise, no one's going to know who you are. And if they don't know who you are, they're not going to buy your books. So this is where the whole, fear of being seen comes in. Okay, so, and if you're listening to the live stream, I would love to just know and put this in the comments. What comes up for you when you think about being visible, when you think about actually letting people see you talking on a video or putting a picture of yourself out there? What sort of comes up for you with all of that? So just be thinking about it as we go through this live stream. All right, so first thing we want to talk about is the fact that fear isn't real. So fear is completely false. It's just a way of looking at something. It's just a perspective. And so you can absolutely decide that you're not going to take action based on fear, that you're going to do the opposite. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling fear-based, all of a sudden the choices you're making are based on something that you're afraid of, it's a really good idea to just do the opposite. So if, for example, one of your fears is to do a live video, then you should just do the video because that's going to push you through the fear. And once you push through the fear and get to the other side, you'll very easily see that it's not real because you did it and you're still here. And so it's not an easy thing to do, obviously, but that's the first step, is just recognizing it as a fear and realizing that, it's okay. Everybody deals with this, especially in the beginning when you're not necessarily, out there as a big public figure or as an author that everybody knows the name of. You're just getting started, and it's definitely a scarier time. But there's nothing to be afraid of because fear isn't real. It's just a state of mind, and you can absolutely change it by changing the way that you're thinking in that moment. So, and again, once you do it, you'll start to see that, it's no big deal. So again, if you're just joining me, I saw some people started to join the live stream. So put in the comments if you're here, just what comes up for you when you think about being visible online. So what fears come up, or what, thoughts are running through your head when it comes to being visible in front of your target readership or the people that you would like to sell books to. This would be online or offline, either one. Okay, so I'm going to tell you 5 ways to get over this fear, and they're all action-based. So, this is one place where, yes, fear is real, as far as it's something that happens to us. It's not real as far as it's actually something that will get in your way or stop you. If you let it, it will. But if you don't, then you're okay. But fear is in your head mostly. It's in your head. So, unless you're actually being threatened in some way physically, your fears are in your head. And it's just, strings of thought that are running. These are old things maybe that you were taught as a kid, or maybe, things you saw in society, and things have been programmed in you, but you don't have to listen to them. So you can really choose to say, I'm not going to act out of fear. And that was a choice that I made for myself a couple of years ago. I just decided that I will no longer take action based on fear. So if I feel like I'm doing something because I'm afraid, I'm afraid that I might spill my glass of water on my computer, so I'm going to move the computer across the room while I'm drinking my glass of water. Well, if that comes up for me and I feel like, oh my God, I'm feeling afraid that that's going to happen, then I leave the glass of water next to the computer and I don't do it. Even though it doesn't make sense, maybe, even though it makes sense to say, well, yeah, logically, if you drink the water next to the computer, you might spill it, and then the computer gets messed up and you don't have a computer anymore. So maybe in most ways of thinking, it would make sense to say, okay, well, I'm going to move the computer before I drink the water. But I don't do that because I think that buying into fear is just going to create more of it. So I will say, okay, I know that's a fear-based thought that I'm having right now, that if I drink this water next to my computer, that I might drop it or I might spill on it and damage it. So I'm going to purposely drink the glass of water next to the computer to show that I'm not taking action based on fear. And this isn't something related to books, but it could be. So, I mean, the whole thing is that if maybe, let's say you get invited to participate in like a book promo or something, but you're afraid because the other authors are people who actually have a following and you don't. Well, it would be a fear-based action to say no. It would be a fear-based action to say I don't have time, or I can't promote, or any of that stuff. Or to say I don't have an audience yet, it's not worth it for me to be part of this. It would be a fear-based choice to say that. But the choice that you should make is like, I'm going to choose what's actually going to get me where I want to go, which is pushing through the fear and taking the action anyway, which is actually participating in the promo with the other authors. And you never know what could happen from that. So the very first way to push through fear of being seen and overcome it is the Nike term, which is just do it. So you have to do it. That at the end of the day is the only cure for fear, is to take action. Because when you allow the fear to stop you, that's the only way it becomes real. And if you refuse to let that stop you, and if you refuse to let it get in your way, like, yeah, it might get in your way for a little while, but you recognize that's what it is, and then you push through anyway. That's the just do it method, and that's one of the best ways to overcome fear. Because as soon as you start doing that enough, you realize that those fears in your head are just in your head, and they're not real. People aren't actually thinking the things you think that they're thinking, and you don't have to worry about it. So I think a lot of the times with writers especially, we worry about being judged, and we don't want people to, see us like in a video or something, because we're afraid that, like, what if they don't like us, or, what if I don't look right, or I'm not perfect, or whatever. And I went through all of that same stuff. Like, I have gone through all of it. I've definitely gotten to a point where I don't care anymore. Like, I just realized that what I have to say and what I want to give you guys and help you with is way more important than my own hangups about the way I look or the way I sound or any of that stuff. So, but it takes time to get there. So that's where these other tips come in. So tip number 2, as a way to push through and to, just get yourself out there and be seen, is to challenge yourself. So back in October 2015, I decided that I wanted to start doing more live streaming because I hadn't really been doing it, and I saw a lot of the people I follow were doing it, and it was becoming sort of like a big trend at the time. People were doing Periscope videos, and Facebook Live wasn't around at that point, but it was around not long after that point. And so I just decided, okay, like, I'm going to start doing live streams. I was scared shitless because I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do on a live video? Like, what if I mess up, or what if I say the wrong thing? And it got, it freaked me out at first. But so what I realized is that I had to just give myself a challenge. So what I did was I set, basically I said, for the month of October, I'm going to be doing a live stream every single day during the week. So 20 live streams, and all on different topics to do a story planning. Because at the time I was prepping people for NaNoWriMo, which was happening in November, and it was October. So it was the perfect topic for me. So I challenged myself. So every single day I got on a live stream on Periscope, and I taught something about story planning. I had specific topics in mind that I was going to talk about, and I really did the best I could to just stay focused on the fact that I was giving really good information, and that people were looking for the information more than they were judging me because I don't look perfect, or, so I sort of forced myself to get out of my head by taking action and doing a challenge. So a really good way to get yourself out of a fear state or being afraid of being seen is to just challenge yourself. So maybe it's, okay, I'm going to create a video every single day for the next 10 days. It doesn't have to be a live video. It could just be a video of you recording yourself on your phone, or recording something for your readers and then posting it on social media. So that could be a challenge you give yourself. Or maybe it's, for a whole month, I'm going to send an email to my list every day, or whatever. It's totally up to you what you challenge yourself with. But when you give yourself a challenge, it's easier to push yourself through the fear because you're not getting stuck in it, because oh, I've got this challenge going on and I have to keep taking action, and you can't stop. Lindley, you're saying the video won't play for you. It might be the internet connection. Sometimes if the connection speed isn't fast enough, it'll be recorded, so you can always go back and listen to it after the fact. All right, so the second one was challenge yourself. Now, the third one I think is probably the most powerful way to overcome the fear and to just continuously, consistently get yourself out there and be visible. And that is that you have to get really, really clear on why you're doing this. So, and I wrote some questions down, just sort of things to think about. So what is the purpose of you being an author? Why are you an author? Why do you want to be an author? Why is it important to you that you write books and put them out there? Why do you have to put these books out there? So why is it mandatory that you get these books out there? You know, why is it that you decided that you wanted to publish these books instead of doing other creative things you could do, like writing music or, you know, acting in a play or something? Why is it that you had to be an author and get these books out there? Why would the world be missing out if your book wasn't out there? So what would the world be missing if your book wasn't out there, or if your books weren't out there, if you write, you know, several types of books, or if you've written several books? Really, really important question. Why does your book matter? So why does your book matter? Simple question. It matters to you, but why would it matter to somebody else? This is, you know, again, getting to that core reasoning for why you're doing what you're doing, and why you're an author, why you want to be published, why you want to have a readership. The reason to really dig into this stuff and to dig into your why and the purpose for why you're an author is so that you can act with intention. And so you can have purpose in what you're doing. Because when you know why you're doing something, and when you know the purpose behind it and the driving force that's causing you to want to be this thing, this author, whatever, that is going to be bigger than the fear of, you know, being seen. That's what it's going to take. So for me, that was the biggest thing I think that changed, was that I finally realized, or got to a point where I realized I had done enough where it's no longer about me. It's not about me anymore. It's about my readers, and it's about the people who follow me, and the people who need the information that I have to share, the people who, you know, are in the beginning stages of their author journey, going through all the same stuff I dealt with when I first started. And it's not about me having my fears and having my BS excuses and stuff. It's about getting them what they need so that they can change their lives, so that they can get their book out there faster than I did, so that they can be more successful faster than I did, and without as many bumps in the road. So my why and my purpose for doing this work that I do, and for writing the books that I write, and actually doing things like videos and live streams and challenges and running a Facebook group and all of that, comes down to me having a bigger purpose and knowing that I'm here to help writers transform their lives based on changing the way that they think and showing them to, you know, challenge themselves around what they believe is possible. And so I do this every single day. I go out there and I, you know, create videos, and I do live streams, and I create freebies for my list, and I email my list every day pretty much. And it's a lot of visibility, and I get interviewed on podcasts, and I go on people's blogs and write guest posts. I didn't do all this at first. I was building up to it. So and this will come in some of the other tips in a second, but just, this is probably the most important thing, is when you know why you're doing something, when you know the purpose behind it and the driving force for it, it's going to be the reason that propels you past all the fear, all the bullshit, all the excuses, all the stuff that gets in the way, because you have a bigger purpose. You have a bigger vision for what you're doing. So now it's not just about, oh, I wrote a book and now I want to sell some copies, but it's about, I've got to get this book into the hands of these readers because they need it. It's something that I believe in so deeply that they can't live without it. I mean, really, you have to feel that way about your stuff. And even if you write fiction, you still have to feel that way. You have to believe that your story needs to be out there, that readers need to read this story because it's awesome and it's going to make them super happy, and, you know, they're just going to be super entertained by it, and they're going to walk away and feel just amazed at how great of a story it was. Well, then it's your job to get it into their hands, and that's where the marketing comes in. But the fear will always be there if you don't continue to find ways to push through it. So being visible is the only way, especially online, that you're going to get people to know who you are and to know what you've got available. So books or courses or whatever you do, and then actually want to buy them from you. So it's the know, like, and trust factor, and being visible is a huge part of that. So when you get really clear on the why and the reason that you're an author, the reason you want to write books and publish them, and not just write books just to write them, but not actually put them out there. So there's a big difference there between authors who just want to write books for themselves, or just because it's something they enjoy doing, versus an author who actually wants to make sales and make money from their books, or potentially make a living from their books. Big difference there, and big difference in mindset as well, as far as the way you have to think about things and the things you have to do are going to be different. Because somebody who's just writing for themselves doesn't have to worry about being visible, doesn't have to think about the target readers or anything like that. But someone who is publishing does. So by getting really clear on why you're doing this, why you're an author, why it's important for you to get your books out there, will give you a powerful motivator so that when you do feel afraid or when you are worried about being seen or thinking like, oh, you don't want to be visible, it can be that thing that pushes you through. So for me now, I know I've written out my purpose. I've got a vision statement. I know absolutely the reason that I'm doing all of this and who I'm doing it for and why. I know all of that. And so even though I was sick the last few days and even though I haven't been feeling the greatest and I, was on the couch pretty much all day today, I still am doing this live stream right now, even though I could have chosen not to. But I'm doing it because I know that there are people who are interested in this topic and who want to hear this and who this could potentially change something for them so that they get to a point where they aren't afraid to be visible and they're willing to go out there and be the, face of the books that they've written and to show people that they're an author behind the brand. They're not just a bunch of books, but they're an actual person. I mean, it's a big difference because when people can see you and hear you, they like you more and they get to know you more that way. And from there, it's easier to sell books to them because they know you and they feel like they know you and they want to support you. But when you're just marketing to a bunch of random people and you're not really showing them who you are, you're not, posting pictures of yourself or you're not talking so they can't hear your voice or seeing you, well, then it's harder because they're just seeing what they see from everybody else online, which is, picture, a quote picture, a little promo for a book, but that doesn't tell them anything about the author. And people like to support authors that they like and that they, agree with or that they feel that they resonate with. So I sell a lot of books because I have a lot of people who follow me who believe in what I talk about and who agree with my message and the fact that you can create anything that you want if you set your mind to it and then do the practical actions. So big thing there is just getting into the why that you do this. And just to sort of go back through the questions that I mentioned for getting clear on your why. So here are some to think about, and you could sort of do a journal on this if you wanted. So what is the purpose of you being an author? Why do you have to put your books out there? So why do they need to be out there? Why would the world be missing out if you didn't put the books out there? And why do your books matter? So answer those questions and then ask yourself even more like, why am I doing this? Just what is the purpose of me being an author, being somebody who wants to be published, who wants to grow a readership? Why? That will always give you a driving force that will be more powerful than fear could ever be. All right. Way number 4 is to practice. So when I was first getting into video, so I got my first video camera before they were available on phones. Well, they were available on phones, I think, but it wasn't widely available at that point. I got a flip cam. So basically it's just a camera that flips up and you can plug it into your computer and it easily downloads stuff to YouTube and all of that. And so I got that as a birthday gift. I was like, that's what I want this year. But then I was afraid to use it. Even though it wasn't live, obviously, like no one was actually going to be seeing me live. I was doing it all alone in a room. No one was there. But I was still afraid. So what I did was I just made 100 videos, which sounds ridiculous. But I honestly just knew that if I kept putting myself in front of the camera over and over again and just kept talking, kept doing videos, kept getting used to what I look like on camera and what I sound like, that I would eventually get over that fear of being visible. And it took 100 tries of, just stopping, going, pausing it and saying it's not good enough and deleting it and starting over again. But I ended up creating a couple of videos and then I finally put them on a YouTube channel. I think they're still on there actually if you want to check them out. They're pretty old at this point and I've definitely gotten a lot better on videos since then. But the whole point was what got me to be better on video is that I practiced. I, just didn't have I had the camera and it wasn't like I was forcing myself into, I have to post this. No. It's not about that at all. So you can just have your camera and just film yourself. So basically just talk to your camera about your book or read a section of it and tell us about it or whatever you think your ideal readers would be interested in. Just make a video of yourself talking about that or reading something or whatever. You don't have to post it. This is just practice now. You're just doing this just to get practice with actually taking the action and being visible on a camera. Now, once you do that a little bit, then you could challenge yourself to actually post one of the videos. And from there, continue on. So it's all about practice. I mean, when I first started doing videos, I used to say that I looked like a nervous stroke victim because my cheek would puff out on the side and I would literally have no movement on the side of my face and I just looked really stiff. Now that's not the case anymore because I do so much video that I'm really comfortable on it now. And so even though it's still a little awkward sometimes because I'm like shooting a video looking at myself and it's live, which is even weirder, but at the same time, I'm okay with it because I'm okay with being on video now. But it took practice. I did not feel that way for a long time. And it was really the challenging myself to doing all the live streams and then just keep going, and every day forcing myself to just shoot a short little video and post it in my Facebook group or post it on my Facebook page or stick it on Instagram. And the more I did that, the more I got comfortable with being on a video camera. And then, of course, now I've got the why going, so I really feel empowered to have to get out there and share this stuff because I know that there are people who need it, and that's bigger than me. So that's another reason why I can do it and get over the fear. But practice will absolutely get you over the fear of being seen, because the more you just do it, you're going to be used to it, and then it won't feel like a big deal. I mean, when you post a picture of something on Facebook, it's not really that big of a deal to you. You don't freak out about it because it's a picture and you're used to that because everybody posts pictures. So it's the same thing with video. You just have to get used to it. And the more you practice it, the easier it will be. Okay, so then number 5 is, again, big deal. It kind of ties into the third thing that I talked about, which is getting clear on your why. But number 5 is that it's not about you. So if you are an author, if you publish your books, and if you want to grow a readership, you have to remind yourself probably over and over again for a while that it's not about you. So it's about your readers at this point. It's about you being visible because that's the only way you're going to grow a readership, and that's the only way you're going to get people to buy your books is you have to be visible. So it's not about you anymore. If it was about you, then you could just hide for the rest of your life and never be visible and it wouldn't matter. But it's not about you because you want to sell books and you want to be an author who makes a living from their books. So because of that, you have to be visible. And so when you remind yourself that it's not about you anymore, it's about the audience, it's about the people who need what you have to put out there, whether it's a fictional story that's going to entertain them or whether it's something educational. If you do nonfiction books, that's what it's about. That's what matters, and that's the only thing that matters, is that you are talking to your audience and giving them what they need from you. So when you remind yourself of your why and your purpose for doing this in the first place, and then you tie that to the fact that it's not about you anymore, it's about them, it's about your readers, about getting the books in their hands, it's a lot easier to push through the fear of being visible. So just to go back through the 5 ways and wrap them up, the first one is the Nike, just do it. The second is to challenge yourself. So give yourself a challenge of some kind that will force you into taking action. The third is getting clear on why you're doing this and the purpose behind it, because when you do that, you're going to just empower yourself to know that there's something bigger than you, and that's what matters. The fourth is to practice. So practice. And then the fifth is that you remind yourself that it's not just about you. It's not about you anymore. It's about the audience. It's about getting getting the books in their hands. That's what matters. Again, it all takes practice. So starting out, if you don't feel comfortable being live on a video like I'm being right now, just record videos on your phone. You don't have to be live. You could literally record the video over and over again until you feel really good about it and then post that one. So when I first started my very first video, I did 100 takes before I actually posted it because I was like, I don't like this. I sound weird. I look weird. So it took me a while. Now I'm in my pajamas and on, a live stream. So big difference there. But it came down from practicing and from finally getting to a point where my message and my vision and the things I know that authors need to hear are bigger than me and my fear of being seen on a video. So those are the 5 ways that you can overcome the fear of being visible. Being visible is a huge part of being an author in the digital age and getting people to see who you are, because when they know you and they like you and they trust you, they will buy books from you. So be sure to, if you aren't already comfortable being visible online, go back through this video, read the 5 tips, or when I list out the 5 tips, write them down and actually start to implement them and actually practice being visible every single day. Challenge yourself. Do something every single day to be in front of your audience, whether it's a video, a picture, an article that you write, or a blog post. Just do something so that they see you every single day. And I guarantee the more consistently that you can be visible in front of your audience, the more you will actually sell books. So that's it for the live stream. If anyone is on here that has questions, post them now. Otherwise, I'm wrapping this up. I'm doing another video tomorrow, and I'm not sure of the topic. I don't remember what the topic is. Hang on, I can check. I'm doing a live stream tomorrow on where to find readers for your books. So this will be a good one. I don't know what time exactly. I'm assuming sometime around tomorrow afternoon, maybe like 1:30ish. I don't know. It's going to depend on how I feel. But you'll definitely be getting a live stream from me tomorrow on that. So be sure to check that out. You can get notified of when I go live just by liking my Facebook page and choosing the option to see my stuff first. It will tell you every time I go live, so you can join me if you're available. And if you want 15 really killer tactics to sell more books, be sure to download my free training at jenniferblanchard.net/15tactics, so 15 tactics. Catch you next time.